Hey, girlfriend, you know who you are. You have big, big dreams. You want to write a book, stand on a TED Talk stage, be a life coach offering wisdom from your RV in Montana, a cafe in Barcelona, or a beach chair in Tulum. Your other girlfriends and your family, they don't always get your biz savvy. Why do you want to leave your JOB? Because you're a CATS, aka coach, author, thought leader, and speaker. Meet other change makers like yourself and find out how they make it happen. This is the Big Meow Podcast.
Hello, cats. It's Kristen, and I'm here with Suzanne Castle. Hi, Suzanne.
Hello, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you. Hello, cats. Glad that you're checking this out.
So you are the human confetti cannon. I just want to hear all about it.
Yes, that's what I have been called. I try to bring a lot of energy and joy and my emergency confetti everywhere I go to let people know that there's that inner light that just needs to get out.
I love that. I come armed with emergency confetti in my purse.
Yes, I do all the time. Yes.
So
Okay.
why do you think the world needs so much more sparkle these days?
Well, the world's robbing us of that, isn't it? It's so easy to get and stay in the funk, especially when you're scrolling all the time. You're not where you thought you needed to be. Your, boss babe bestie person is like reaching all these heights and you're like, what's wrong with me? And so we kind of tell our brain that something's wrong when really our brain needs to get reactivated to say nothing's wrong. We're fine. And when we can make those subtle mind shifts, really that's the work that I'm trying to do, is to teach people what can happen in your brain when you choose to see creative possibilities.
I love that. I love that. Have you ever thrown confetti around and people got mad at you for making a mess?
All the time. And glitter, my nickname is Gigi for Glitter Girl. And it's just because it's always glitter everywhere I am. It's just part and parcel of hanging out with me.
So do you have like a specific statement, mantra that carries you forward?
Yes, I like to say that stuck is never the furthest you can go. We love to live on Stuck Island, right? We think the fear sharks are circling us. It's really hard to get off of Stuck Island because even though it sucks, we're comfortable there, right? But it's really not as far as we can go. And so we have to challenge ourselves and tell ourselves, I can do this one small, repeatable action at a time.
I think there's something important in what you just said, is that small repeatable action, because I think a lot of times, especially as like solopreneurs and cats, coaches and authors, we do something once or twice. And if it doesn't quite get the result that we want, we just say, oh, that didn't work. And we just push it off to the side instead of just staying with it and tweaking it a little bit until we can get in that sweet spot.
It's interesting because I think a lot of that has to do with tracking, and tracking's not sexy, right? Like nobody wants to spend their time in a spreadsheet unless you're a spreadsheet goddess, right? And so the problem is we're not tracking what we're doing and how we're doing it. So we might have had a crummy month, but that may have been we didn't get enough views. We needed to change one word. We weren't in front of enough people, but we're like, oh, that didn't work. Well, that's actually not true. It may have worked, but there's just small little tweaks that we need to make. So part of those repeatable actions, especially for entrepreneurs, and I think girl bosses everywhere, is to really be like, okay, what is the data telling me on how I'm shining out in the world? And so I'm a real big believer in teaching data strategy to entrepreneurs to help them kind of understand what they need to be looking at.
I love what you're saying. I'm so excited about what you're saying. And I know data is not sexy, but really the analytics and what's converting is such your friend when you are putting your work out there. And I think a lot of times we're like, oh, I'm check the box. Like I got that opt-in done, or I got this piece of my business done. It's done. And I'm just going to put it out there and I'm done. And I'm not going to go back to it. And I really think that that's the difference between the boss babes you're talking about who are super successful and the people that just check the box and get that one element done. And then they don't do the extra steps to dial it in.
That's right. And I think when we're in that space, then that's when the lie of hustling comes to pass. We're like, oh, I got to hustle harder. I got to do this harder. No, you don't. You have to be in alignment. And when you're in alignment and the data doesn't lie to you, you're like, now I know where to go, how to get there, how to like say my messaging different, how to be like my gorgeous, sparkly self every day. And so
this is me. This is me. I love it.
I just think that that's what women should be doing, is pulling each other up, and helping each other notice those things.
I do agree with that. I feel like it really is so important that we move away from this competition, the clashing, to this space of collaboration, because we have a lot to offer each other. And we really, women, I think, we're hardwired to be in community with each other.
Oh, sure. If you look through history, the whole tribal mentality, circle mentality, and somehow we got away with that. I probably in the industrial revolution, we got away from that a little bit. And I think where there's a resurgence happening among women, they're like, you know what? I don't have to pay somebody all the time. I have a friend who's great at SEO. I know somebody who does this. How can I exchange ideas without there always being an exchange of money or even time? It's let's help each other do the thing we're trying to do in the world. I just think that would make the world a much kinder place to be.
That actually is my whole idea behind this CATS network, is just fun and friends. And then also that functionality, because I've been for 15 years, like one of those premium high level coaches. And I'm like, what? I kind of want to just mix it up and do something completely different, and be in more of a community and facilitate community, because that's what nourishes me. Like, that's what I love in my soul, is meeting incredible, energetic women like you. And I'm like, oh, this is really fun. I might carry confetti in my purse now too, right? Like, it's sometimes just like the littlest thing that just breaks up the energy.
It does. I was speaking to kind of a high level, I don't have her permission to say who it is, but CEO yesterday. And at the end of our chat, I was just helping her do some strategy. And she said, okay, how much do I owe you? And I'm like, nothing. Like, we're just doing this thing together. Like, if I could be helpful, great.
Right.
And that's so off-putting to her, because she's like, I've never had anybody, now that she's at a certain level, say that to me. I'm like, well, then we need to make your world a little bit bigger than what it is. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that that's true. So what was something, because we're talking about coaches here and authors and all levels, like what was something that you did in your business that really like made it a pivot for the better?
I will say, having my entire 2 years go awry at the beginning of COVID. So while I do coach and I have several books and all the things, I'm a speaker full time. That's how I got coming from the entertainment world. And in 14 days, my 2-year calendar went away because everyone got afraid. And what I chose to do was stand in the gap and call on the phone, like pick up the phone, boss babes, call every single person and say, all right, I get it. You're afraid, but what can I do for you instead? No charge. Can I lead a virtual meeting for you? Is there something I could do in the meantime? What do you need? We're all afraid. Let's all pull together. I got to tell you, that ended up being a sales strategy. That wasn't what I did, but I needed to stay busy and I wanted to really help people in the middle of the world being crazy. Right. And so what that did though was set me apart when things kind of started to come back, offline. I was the first phone call they made to say, hey, we're putting that conference back on. We're ready to do this thing with you. You're our first person. Thank you for serving us without a fee. And so for me, that really, like you said, you're shaking up your model. That shook up my model a little bit for me too, which is really being service and heart-based first.
Well, I think COVID did that for a lot of us. So one of my businesses, because my background is also in entertainment, but more like, I guess TV news is entertainment. But, we have speakers come to Las Vegas with, 100 people in the audience. Well, that wasn't very COVID friendly. So then it was like, okay, what can we do instead?
Right.
And I think that we have all had to dig deep and become creative and mix things up, even if we've been doing them the same way for a long time. And I do think that I love that you were able to come up with some type of a strategy and to keep moving. I think that more than anything with that entrepreneurial spirit is to use your intuition and your creativity to come up with a new idea, because it is available to you. You just have to open up the space so that it can kind of drop in.
That's right. And when the world says shrink, I'm like, no, that's my favorite place.
Yeah, I can't see you doing that.
A different way to expand, right? So
absolutely. So, who inspires you?
Ooh, who inspires me? Well, I guess I would say, now this is maybe unpopular because it's a love it or hate it kind of a place, but Disney actually. And from some work I used to do with Disney, really the way that they approach generating ideas, I think is something that everyone should be paying attention to, especially entrepreneurs. So thinking about failure is a teaching tool, and really it coming up with an idea. You may not have the whole framework for it yet, but that doesn't mean that it's not a great idea. So you put it out there and you wait for things to come your way. It's really an interesting strategy to think about business in that way. So I would highly recommend picking up any of the Disney business books and really diving in deep and finding a way to kind of activate that part of your creative brain.
What would you say to a cat who's feeling kind of stuck right now?
Oh, honey bun, don't be stuck. Like the first thing I would do is say, who is around you? I call my sparkle squad, but who is around you that can just pour into you? So who is someone that can cheer you on? Who is someone that can hold you accountable? Because if you're not reaching out to a circle of trusted people, that is the easiest way to stay stuck. So the first thing is get someone on the phone, take them to lunch, have a virtual happy hour, whatever it means for you, and really just have somebody pour into you, receive for a minute so that you know that you can do it. Because again, fear will keep you stuck, because fear is like, you're being chased by a bear, you're going to die. And it's part of the way that we're wired. So what we need is to find safety nets. And part of that, I think, is creating a sparkle squad that will remind you, we have you, we're holding you, you can do this. Now, how can we help you do this thing? And I think that's the very first step that people should take.
What if you don't feel like you have a sparkle squad? I mean, some of us can feel pretty isolated.
Yeah, I think COVID did that for a lot of people, and relationships kind of fell away. The intentionality of creating relationships, I think we're going to feel that for probably a generation, I would think. And so one thing is just I'm always surprised when someone drops into my social media inbox and there's like, hey, I've been watching your thing or your YouTube channel or your something. I'm curious, could we get some phone time together? And I always say yes. There is never a time that I don't say no. Because you never know when your next boss babe bestie, let's say, is going to appear, or there's going to be someone that really needs you, or that you need them and you didn't realize it. So don't be afraid to do a reach out. Now, I will say, if you're feeling really alone, then maybe the first step is listening to these podcasts, for example, getting some inspiration from some creative places, and then following people that you're feeling some resonance with. And then every once in a while, just commenting, just asking a question, and that can begin to build a relationship, especially when you're feeling really isolated.
Yeah, I do think that mental health can be such a big thing right now, and we're all trying to figure it out and do things differently. And we may not always feel like we have that sparkle squad. And so making it also intentional to build a network for yourself. I mean, I do think that that's a big part of networking, is meeting not 100 new people, but 1, 2, 3 new people a week or a month, even just for 15 minutes. It can completely re-energize you and pick you back up. It doesn't really take much to build back the energy and momentum, because it's within you, but sometimes we just need to be reminded of it.
That's right. And I think one good way, if you really are struggling in this space, is because it will keep you like insulated and isolated, is to go give back. So maybe go read to kids at an elementary school. That always brings me a lot of joy, right? Just sign up for something that you can do and get out of your own head, get out of your own space and serve, and then see what that does to shake up your funk a little bit. And you will probably make a lot of really good connections that way and be building a network of support for when you need it the most.
I love that. It's like through service to others, we find ourselves.
Yep. All day long.
So Suzanne, thank you so much for being here. How can we find you?
Oh, SuzanneCastle.com, castle like a princess, super easy. And I've got a ton of freebies on there. So if you just go /free, there's a lot of things there. You might want to look at Contain the Chaos. It's a really heavy workbook on self-care and stress and how to stay focused as an entrepreneur, how to do priority-based thinking. And it's just there for you. So go download it, go get it.
I love it. Thanks for being on the Big Meow.
Thank you for having me. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks for listening to the Big Meow podcast, sponsored by Cats Network. If you liked what you heard, please take a moment to subscribe and share this podcast with your friends. You can also join our network filled with positivity and possibility. Visit www.catsnetworking.com to join us and learn more, together with your magical, motivated, and mystical new friends at Cats Network. Let's transform 1 million lives with your message. Are you feeling isolated sitting at home in your PJs? Or perhaps you're tired of the comfy sweatpants with holes in them that are hidden just below the camera? I mean, you could puke at the thought of another day of Zoom meetings and reporting to your BOSS. Do you want freedom from your home office desk or the office cubicle? Do you want freedom from your current career? Or are you frustrated that your online biz dreams are going nowhere? It's all too overwhelming. Where do you start? All the tech, the choices, and your message. Yep, I said your message, your brand, your voice. What is it? Do you even know what that means? Do you need a biz coach but don't want to invest the big bucks? Let's face it, being a solopreneur is lonely, but you don't have to do it alone. And here's a solution. Join Cats Network. Cats Network is a woman-only membership community exclusively available to you, the life coach or executive coach, the author, the thought leader, or the public speaker. If you identify with this list or want to work on adding some of these to your skill set, Cats is the place for you. Check us out at www.catsnetworking.com. That's CATS networking.com. Because let's face it, cats are better together.